It's time for my domain expansion, Horizon of the Captivating Spoilers. I can't go any higher than that. What's up, guys? I'm Hunter, and here we are to do a nice little breakdown. Just a breakdown. I can't say live reaction. A breakdown of the chapter 252 spoilers. And unlike before, where I had to put a shackle on myself, I had to chain myself, I got a minute and a half. And some more comprehension of stuff that happens in this chapter without the actual translations, so you know we got a hefty chunk to talk about. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact. This chapter's gas. I'll say that from around start. With no full translations or nothing. Without the images being clean, this chapter's gas. But it may cause problems later. It truly depends on what that final page means. It can cause a lot, I'm just saying, not super saying, I'm just saying. I don't want to say it though. I really don't want to say but I'm low-key getting Madara flashbacks. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's open up with the first page. So, things on the first page I do want to know. Kusakabe, they're still chilling, for the most part. Unfortunately, these two characters have kind of just been reduced to mouthpieces. But, what else? What else were they really meant to do? Honestly, I'm just happy they're still alive. Is that sad? Now, I don't even care. You don't have to do anything. Just live. Unless you're Panda, then fall. Fall. Please. Please! Someone throw him at Panda. Or, someone throw Sukuna at Panda, like Maki throws Sukuna later in this chapter, or someone throw Panda at Sukuna. Please. So I need to see someone get hit with well, now that I think about it, with both arms gone, unless he hits him with the nubs, we can't see a quad black flash now. But with that being the case, these two are alive, and they're noticing Yuta's barrier. I'll think about Yuta's barrier. It is closed. I don't know why. I saw people claiming it was open because of the swords. It wasn't closed, but what do you think Yuta got an open barrier domain in the Gojo? I don't know why. I saw multiple people, and it's this today. Today, when the spoilers came out, people were like, "Oh, Yuta's domain must be open barrier. He must have unlocked it." No, it's not. It is big though. It is relatively big. I think it's one of the bigger closed barrier domains we've seen in the series. When I think about it, sure, Gojo's was decent size, but it wasn't too big. Should be fair, the biggest domain feat we've seen of Gojo is clearly the one in the Gojo vs. Sukuna fight. But I'm talking about, start of series Gojo. I think it's bigger than that. It's pretty sizable. And I do like how it's so perfectly proportioned. It is that perfect spear hovering right above the ground. I honestly wonder, it's completely disconnected, but I wonder if Yorozu's perfect spear was inspired by domain expansions. I wonder if that was a thing. She just saw the perfect shape of a domain and was like, wait a minute. But, when that being the case, not Takaba. We don't, in fact, speaking of, where is he? Because I'm not a single person from reputable sources on both sides. I've heard that man's alive, and he's not alive. It's 50-50. No one's been able to give me a clear answer on that. We haven't seen his body ever since 249. Because we're on 252. I think it's 249 because that's when Kenny's head. But it's either no, it may not be 249. Maybe 250. Because I think he appears at the end of 249, then 250, and then 251. Yeah, I think. But with that being the case, I don't know where Takaba is, but Kusakabe and Ino are here talking about this scenario that's set up. And they're specifically talking about it in regards to a certain someone who is working out to get in there. Now, admittedly, I am definitely happy. I like how they play it out here. So notably, the reason Maki isn't in the domain already is because presumably she'd give away her location. And she's there essentially as a contingency, on contingencies. Notably, and I do like this, ever since they realized that fighting Sukuna was a likely possibility, even if they didn't think it was going to happen, they had multiple contingencies for it. I like how Maki was set up outside the domain. Just sitting there and waiting. Notably, you can see she doesn't have Soul Split Katana on her, though. Which means that she left it in the domain. I think I saw that in one of the translations. That's an interesting choice, but what it does confirm, at least presumably, is that probably you can't use it Like, maybe, I forget if it said if Rika was holding it, or it was just, like, stabbed in the ground of the domain after it was formed. But, with it being the case, it goes to show that Maki can't pass through barriers with her. I don't know why she doesn't have it in her hands. Like, that's the main thing. Maybe I'm just read that mistranslation somewhere, but, like, you don't even see it on her. You don't see it on her here, on this page, or on this page. You do not see the Soul Split Katana, which is weird, because we know Maki can pass through barriers with it. Like, remember, she didn't know how to use Soul Split Katana, but Soul Split Katana has always been, Lord, always been a cursed tool. And she, like, went in and out of Culling Games barriers, and she never had a worm that she could swallow like Toji did. So I don't know why they left the sword in the domain. If anything, that seems more like a liability. Like, what if Sukuna just randomly... This one's different. Because notably, if all of Yuta's swords had different designs, they'd be like, okay. Maybe that's a good, reasonable idea. He'd just see a random sword and one thing to pick it up. Because once again, we just don't know what Sukuna's level of knowledge is. He didn't recognize the Limitless, and he didn't recognize the Ten Shadows technique. That's why both of those presumably may be existing at the time. I don't know. Once again, the 1,000 years time period versus the evolution / dulling of sorcery is a period we know little to nothing about. Gege's been explicitly vague for reason. I was about to say there's a reason why Gage, there really hasn't been. Gage just has refused to elaborate on that time period, so we don't know. But it's interesting that they left that there when it's already been established. Maybe the reason they do this, and once again we'll see in the translations, is because you can't do it with domain expansions, which may be different than the Culling Games barriers, even though they both have the property of trapping people. I don't know. I just think it's weird that she doesn't have Soul Split on her, because, like, Sukuna could have easily picked that bad boy. Because it's the only unique one. It's the only unique sword there. So it would catch Sukuna's attention, but I suppose Rika, Yuji, and Yuta were all locked in, and making sure Sukuna was locked in on them. And speaking of Sukuna being locked in on them, we see as Maki gets into the sprinting position, which is crazy. You know, she's ready for it. She's ready to do the dash and make it go fast. We see that the sign happens. The barrier itself shatters. Now, this is something I'm a little 50-50 on. But, you know, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it, but it still feels a little bit weird. Just a teeny tiny bit weird. We see that the barrier shatters. Kusakabe notes that the barrier shatters, and they plan for this. Essentially, the barrier shattering was the signal. The starting splooter, essentially, for Maki to get active, as the barrier shatters completely. And we see, once again, Maki, I presume, ran, grabbed Soul Split, and pierced. I'm hoping I'm right. I hope I didn't read that wrong. So hold on. In fact, who am I kidding? Actually, I can't. The Googler's in use right now. But, like, with that being the case, I don't know. Maybe I'm just tweaking. Like, maybe I didn't read that somewhere, but I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. But maybe I'm just lost in that unlimited sauce right now. But I do think that Maki did have to pick up Soul Split. She didn't have it on her. And she pierces Sukuna in the back. Once again, I mentioned this in the quick discussion. The art, I'm not sure. I don't think it's a stylistic choice. I think it is just legit incomplete. Because it looks more sketchy than Gege's traditional style, but at the same time, I'm not knocking it. Like, it doesn't look like the Zenin Clan Massacre when that was coming out, which was explicitly unfinished. Like that was just cleanly unfinished, which is fine. Once again, your boy could never be a weekly mangaka. This is better than anything I can produce, especially on the fly. But the reason I'm so confident this may be like a stylistic choice, at least for this page, is because Maki herself, for the most part, looks very, very clean. There's some little extra, like, sketch marks on her, but I don't know. It looks mostly cleaned up. And the big thing for all the Yuta fans, Yuta, seemingly enough, is alive. Like, alive. So alive, in fact, that we see Ui pick up the... Well, no. Rika picks up the half-boy. The half-boy gets caught by Rika, who immediately heals off the damage. And then Ui comes in with the mid-air teleport. Bro, I don't know what kind of Wi-Fi them crows got, but that was some, like, perfect time. Like, did they know which angle that Yuta's gonna break the domain from? But that's the thing. Yuta is still alive after World Slash. And here's the thing. I think this is World Slash. There's been some debate about it, but, like, he's quite clearly in half, y'all. And, like, he did the full 3-stage chant, which I think is meant to be our indication. He's going to do what is confirmed, or at least confirmed by the comments on the shorter spoiler discussion, and from what extra reading I did, that he didn't use a full chant on Maki when he used a stronger cleave later, which we're going to talk about. But I do believe he hit Yuta with World Slash. If Yuta survives this, it's gonna like it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be. I'm not even gonna like. I won't sugarcoat. It's gonna be strange, and because like here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. Despite my agendas, putting all my agendas aside, I like Yuta as a character. I'm happy that he's most likely going to live, but like man, he literally got hit with the thing that executed Satoru Gojo. If he gets back up, when this chapter explicitly, like, what could have been loosely implied before, or loosely argued against before, at least from what translations I've seen, this chapter explicitly mentions that everyone, from Yuta to Kashimo to Higuruma to Itadori to Maki to everybody here so far, has been nothing compared to Satoru Gojo. The fact that the man tweaking on 4 black flashes didn't survive the same thing that Yuta Okotu is going to survive, I don't know. I'm really not leaning with it and rocking with it. I'm not like, and it's mainly for that narrative integrity, right? Because like we're gonna talk about the whole idea of making characters too powerful soon enough in this very video. But one of the biggest reasons, not just on like a thematic level, but on like a meta narrative beyond the narrative level, why you remove Satoru Gojo is the same reason he was sealed. He was too strong, right? Right? He was just too powerful. So what do? You go extensively. You set up this multi-stage plan. This plan that's been hinted at arguably since chapter 1. Like you go all the way back to chapter 1 and you see Sukuna's markings on Megami Shikigami. Like it goes way back when. You build up this entire multi-stage. You establish it across multiple fights, from the Maharaga fight to the Megami and Sukuna fight to the Sukuna and Itadori Fingerbearer fight where the Binding Vow gets set up. You do all this to introduce a move powerful enough to slay your character that's too strong. That's fine. Once again, I'm where I used to be like, it's kind of bad. I'm now fully okay with World Slash as a mechanic. Once again, it is a exaggeration and an extrapolation, not extrapolate. Where is my English? I swear I know words. It is an extrapolation on previously introduced concepts. We know Sukuna is really, really good at sorcery. We know Maharaga can continuously adapt. And we know that extension techniques exist. Nobara had an extension technique. Nanami had an extension technique. You can argue Gojo had extension techniques. Like, technically, I'm not sure. What even is Oliver? Like, it's not his maximum. I don't think it is. I don't think Unlimited Hollow is his maximum either, because he never says maximum. But with that being the case, that's fine. But here's the thing, it's the same issue. It's the same issue, which we'll talk about in a bit. You cannot have your cake and eat it too, man. You can't. Because the issue this has, if Yuta survives, why didn't Gojo? If Gojo's so infinitely stronger than everybody else, but still somehow weaker than Sukuna. And notably, it's the thing that it's World Slash, and you clearly see him in half here. Like, this is Yuta. Make sure he gets immediately caught by Rika, and Uyui, and immediately gets it away. But, regardless, it just seems like a little bit too, like, I guess it's just the idea. She holds him together and he immediately refuses. But then why couldn't the same thing happen with Gojo? I guess Sukuna was right there still. But I don't know. I'll still feel a little iffy about it if Yuta survives it. I think it knocks off the potency of World Slash as this end-all, be-all, one-shot mechanic. It does. It's like... Like, imagine nerfing a one-shot move. Like, say... Hypothetically, for my Dragon Ball fighters out there, you know how once you work up 7, come here, huh? Come on, let's do this. Like you do that with Gogeta 4, and I forget what the move is actually called. I think like Finish Sign or something, and then you get it. You get your level 7, well, level 3 with like Critical Back R3, but like you get that. Oh no, R2. Once again, I get my controls off. R3 is the person on the sticks, but you get the one shot, right? That's the next level thing. That's meant to be the culmination of all your work. Same thing with Sukuna. Sukuna did a whole bunch of finish signs. Took all that time to adapt to Satoru Gojo. Made the ultimate one-shot technique that's capable of slaying the strongest sorcerer of the modern day. The second strongest character in the series by a wide margin. A super wide margin. And they're just going to have someone who's confirmed to be the second survive it. But Gojo didn't. Now, the thing is, though, this can be reverse engineered for Gojo Copium. But the thing is, if it is Gojo Copium, where is it? What took him so long? Like, I know it's only been like 15 minutes in universe, but then when are we going to see Yuta? In chapter 270? Like, it's only been 236 minus 252 is mathematics, brain, blast. 16 chapters, I think, since Gojo's end. Am I wrong on that? Because 236 minus 252, I believe it's 16. My math is awful, but like, I think it's only been 16 chapters. It's been barely over a volume since Gojo fell. So, like, in universe, it's probably been about a solid 15 or so minutes. But once again, Gojo fell in September. It's currently about to be March, at least at the time of recording this. Like, unless Yuta takes that long to come back, it's going to feel a little bit contrived if Yuta shows up on the battlefield before Gojo does. But if Gojo's just gone and Yuta comes back, that also feels weird. Unless there's some massive, massive price to pay, like the loss of Rika or the Huskari. I don't know. Once again, I'm still very, very mixed on this. I'm happy Yuta's alive. Don't get me wrong. That's my main thing that I'm purely happy and okay with. Or at least there's a chance that he's still going to be alive. Especially considering it's revealed. Let me stop spending time on this page. Wait. Well, it's not revealed here. It's not revealed here. Let me see. Let me skip one page ahead. There it is. I see it. We're going to come back to you, Maki. We're going to come back to you, Maki. I'm on a roll right now. I'm on a roll. Call me Jackpot. Call me Kanikinji. But, note, it showed up here in this little graphic, which you can't fully see because I'm trying to do certain things to make sure that I can keep my shot. But with that being the case, Yuta himself actually baited Sukuna here to lower his guard. Remember what the last chapter said. At the end of 251, the narrator goes out of its way to explicitly glaze Sukuna. The backstab is like the most traditional thing somebody can do. It's the tactic that's not exclusive to Jujutsu sorcerers. It's a tactic to anybody. You want to catch somebody off guard, pierce them through the back. But Sukuna's crazy. So of course, you need to do everything you can in order to ensure that something like that can pop off. Because if it doesn't work, who knows what could happen. He could turn around and like grab her dome piece and cleave her immediately. If cleave works on Maki, I've heard different sides of it. Like cleave just should work because it's just slashing, but Maki doesn't have curse energy. So what would cleave adjust to? Like would it adjust to 0 and this like do no damage? I don't know. That's a little bit weird. But I think cleave would work. It's just slashing. Like we've seen cleave work on walls, and Maki's a wall. So like I think she would still get slashed by cleave. Unfortunately, as much as a Maki meat muncher as I am, I do not believe she's immune to cleave. But that's the thing. Yuta explicitly broke the domain himself as he was getting slashed, and he timed it. He timed the shattering of the domain with the slash happening, meaning he was conscious enough to do that while being slashed in half, which should be an instantaneous process, considering Gojo Satoru couldn't react to it. So, what? like you see the issue? I don't know. It's a little bit of a problem to me. It just knocks World Slash down a couple pegs, but I guess it's fine. And here's the main thing about it being World Slash that makes it a problem is because it's the one attack in Sukuna's kick that should not be affected by any sort of brain damage, any sort of RCT output, should be affected by nothing. Nothing should affect it. Why? Because it's deleting the space you exist in. It doesn't really care what is there. That's the big issue. That's why it's able to cut through infinity, because Gojo existed in the space that got deleted. But, enough talking about that, because you know we gotta talk about Now, I'm about to go on one of the most intense glaze sessions you've ever seen from me. Of course I am. I'm sorry. I've been waiting for months. I've been itching, scratching, and fiending. And I've been hearing the fraud allegations. And like I said, do not put my girl on there. And if this chapter don't prove why she ain't supposed to be on there, you're just a hater. I'm friends with somebody who's just a hater. And like, why? Why hate Maki? Come on now. Are you now a Zen in disguise? Stop! But with that being the case, I'll say this round start as a bit of anti-glaze, and I'll probably bring it up again. None of this matters. But to be fair, nothing matters. At least at the end of the chapters to be believed. Nothing matters because no one actually steals a Sukuna. No one. And it's hard to tell how much holding back. It's the big issue that's been going on, especially if you're going to go really retroactively. We're on 24. You could argue the past 24 chapters, the past 2 volumes and 2 chapters have not mattered for anybody scaling except for Yuta, Kenjaku, and Takamas. Because no one actually scales the Sukuna, apparently. No one. Once again, I'll talk about Gojo and his scaling to Sukuna later. Because I think it still is valid. Like, I know a lot of Sukuna sloppers are going to be like, whoa. But first, my fellow Sukuna sloppers out there. Where's my hat? And chair, why do you keep making so much noise? Where are you? There we go. My fellow Sukuna sloppers out there. I have my masters. As you can see, I got my bachelor's too. So like this is literally the only Jujutsu figure I think this is like my only piece of actual Jujutsu Kaisen memorabilia. I don't own anything else. Like, do I? I have more My Hero Academia merch than I do JJK merch. So like, it's a big thing that I own this, even if it was a gift. But I want y'all to hear me out. The narrator said he felt fear. All right. That's all I'm saying. No one else got that accolade. And notably, the person who kind of comes in and says, oh yeah, none of y'all are actually relevant at all. Which admittedly, it's fine. It's fine. Because I've been saying it. I've been saying it for a hot minute. No one's actually scaled the Sukuna since 235. I was about to say 236, but really 235. There have been characters who have been able to damage him, which is still good. There have been characters who have been able to make his soul jiggle, which is still good. And there are characters who are able to tag him and react to some of his attacks, which is all still good. But like in a world like Jujutsu Kaisen, where it is explicit that you can lower your durability, you can lower your output, you can lower everything. This isn't like a 7 Deadly Sins where you have like a base durability and then maybe you can reinforce if you do stuff on top of that. Like in 7 Deadly Sins, there are characters who are just physically strong. Like, to the point where they're completely off guard, a character takes a whole, like, full-bladed sword, swings at their neck, while being bloodlusted, amped by external means, and off, like, 13 different types of illegal substances, and the sword just shatters against the bare skin of the character that I'm referring to. Why? Because their base durability is that high. Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't work like that. You need to reinforce yourself with cursed energy. You could be human level in Jujutsu Kaisen if you do not reinforce yourself. So Sukuna holding back, the reason it's such a big issue is because then you could just argue anything. Sukuna's been lowering his durability. That's why Yuji was able to punch him. That's why he was able to rip out his mouth. Higuruma, he lowered the durability of his hair. That's why Higuruma was able to slash some of it off. Kashimo doesn't land a single hit on True Form Sukuna. But like, that's the thing. It causes issues. And once again, I'm getting way later into a deeper discussion. This was initially just a disclaimer for when I go into my Maki Glaze arc, which is going to last presumably for the rest of this smaller discussion, so here's some time. I know none of it actually matters. And I know out of all of our cast so far, she's facing the weakest Sukuna. There's no debate about that. Simply none. She's facing Sukuna after he's been jostled loose by Yuji Tadori, knocking up... I can't say Yuji Tadori knocking up his guts. That doesn't... But it's not wrong. Not wrong exactly. Yuji Tadori knocking loose his guts. Yuta Okotu slamming him with multiple copied curse techniques, some of which include spatial manipulation and Jacob's Ladder. And Sukuna just generally going through it. Like, man has 2 arms and 2 hands and 2 eyes. I know that sounds normal, but like for Sukuna, his true form, that's still crazy. So like, she's going up against a super weak version. But at the same time, if I glaze a little bit later, you can make the same argument that he should just be getting stronger, apparently? I don't know. It's weird. I'm about to start glazing. Enough disclaimers. So, we see that Maki does not. Now, here's the thing. This is a little bit weird of the interaction. It looks like Sukuna removes himself from Maki before she can presumably slice his chest open. Like, at least tear his torso apart. Because look at the motion Maki does. Come here, you. Ah! She got into Sukuna like this. And then you see with her right hand, she very specifically, she cups the bottom of the blade and then... So she was very clearly here going to bisect Sukuna. Not completely, like very clearly. Unless she was like, considering it was dead in his sternum where he got pierced. For reference... This is an actual sharp blade. Oh, we're going to do this with this one. Yeah, why not? So, for reference, it was essentially right here, and then Maki, if she had gone all the way up, would have most likely torn straight through his face, like, see the katana splitting. Presumably, she was low-key kind of going for that, but Sukuna does dodge right off of it, which is unfortunate. And once again, sort of reinforces the narrative that it's going to be heavily reinstated later on in the narrative that I've low-key been... Not really low-key. I've been saying in every single chapter. I've been fighting. It seems so crazy. I know I was once the biggest Gojo Glazer in history, but now it's like, I guess I'm the strongest Sukuna slopper of today. Because I've been saying no one scales, and look at this. While he's literally impaled and in shock and in confusion, he tears himself off of Maki's sword before she can complete the swinging motion. So, yeah, it's looking a teeny tiny bit tragic. Maybe even automatically tragic. But we see Sukuna. He's once again begins steaming and healing immediately. Once again, I have no idea. We'll see in the translations what this all says. But this is Sukuna transitioning into the whole reveal that Yuta shut down his domain himself and essentially baited Sukuna into that. And it's noted that Sukuna lost his heart here. Now, I'm no biology major. But ain't your heart supposed... I'm not... Let me see. Rise up. We're going to be a little bit higher right now. Isn't your heart here? I guess it's close enough. At least from my perspective, and from where it looks, she got him in the dead center. And that's a misconception. Your heart isn't actually in the dead center. It's underneath your left lung. I'm not a biologist, so correct me if I'm wrong. But here is not where your heart, you may graze it, but it's crazy to think that she got his whole actual heart. But then again, maybe that's just how Sukuna's biology works, because he also ripped straight into the dead center of his chest where his sternum should be and pull out his heart earlier in the series. So I guess maybe that's just how his biology works. But maybe I'm just wrong, because once again, your boy's not a biologist. So, interesting, but he did lose his heart here. Meaning that Sukuna now, from this point on, until his RCT recovers enough that he can fully restore the heart, he's doing what he did way back when in the... I forget what the arc is called. Extermination arc. Whatever. When he made the binding vow with Yuji and fought Megami for the second time. And we see... Yuji Itadori, he goes to run in, but unfortunately, he just can't do it. And to be fair, I've seen a lot of people get on Yuji's case for this. Oh wow, look at Yuji. Look at him trying to be a main character and struggle. Yo, he unlocked RCT over the month time skip, and he also does not have Yuta levels of cursed energy, presumably. Let's just be generous and say he has one finger worth of Sukuna's cursed energy. He should not have been RCTing as nearly as efficiently as he's been so far. It is impressive that he's done what he's done. So please don't slander my son like that. People have been getting on his case. Oh, look at Yuji. He's honored. He's stupid. He's a vulnerable creature in agony. And yeah, he is a creature in agony right now, but I don't think that's his fault. This is his likely first time using... No, not likely. It is his first time using RCT in a real battle scenario. And don't let his mostly black color scheme confuse you. This man has been taking damage. This guy has eaten 2 separate cleaves. Back to back. One that tore out a whole section of his stomach that he had to regenerate, and then a whole part of his chest which he had to regenerate, plus a slash directly across his chest that he had to regenerate, plus everything else he's been doing, from blood manipulation, to cursed energy reinforcement, to who knows what those arms are. Legitimately. He's been pushing. He's been definitely pushing. I don't think this is cause or means to downplay Yuji Itadori or his capabilities as a main character. I just think this is actually logical. Because, he's strong, but he shouldn't be Yuta strong yet. He shouldn't have Yuta levels of cursed energy yet. Remember, Yuta, after presumably having 7 low diff fights, what should have been low diff fights, at least presumably, based on how easily he one-tapped Druve and had no visible damage on him as he saved numerous people. After, a few granite blasts and a thin icebreaker here or there, bro was out of cursed energy. His cursed energy reserves were running low. After, relatively short exchanges with admittedly very powerful characters in Uro and Ryu, but that's Yuta Okotsu, Mr. Boundless Cursed Energy over here, who went into that battle, that double team, essentially fresh. So yeah, Yuji having to massively heal huge portions of his body when he just learned how to do it for the first time on command, I think it's reasonable that he's struggling just a teeny tiny bit. I don't think it's too unreasonable that we can give our boy a pass. Please get off of his neck. He doesn't deserve it. But with it being the case, Yuji, of course, still falls over. And hey, I honestly ain't too mad at this because it gives us Maki versus Sukuna in a 1v1. Of course, the main thing I do want to see, and I hope Yuji does get up. Stay hydrated, folks. It's very important. Did you drink your water today? Drink water, gosh darn it. Stop drinking them darn energy drinks. Trust me, I don't blame you though, because sometimes these days be rough. But drink some water too. But with that being the case, I'm fine with this because one, it does make logical sense for how much cursed energy reserves Yuji should have and how inefficient and how cost ineffective RCT is. It makes sense that Yuji's actually struggling a little bit. And 2, once again, Maki versus Sukuna. We get that as a proper 1v1, which I do appreciate. And presumably Yuji's going to hop in, right? Like, one of my biggest things in the Maki video is I don't believe Maki's going to defeat Sukuna. I ain't that crazy. But I am hoping for a continuation of the fight that started, that we got a hint of, a whiff of, a taste of the aroma of in 215. Maki and Yuji versus Sukuna. I do want that. FR, for real. So, like, please, I'm begging you. But, with it being the case, Yuji, he starts dripping up juice. Because, once again, remember, Sukuna's attacks aren't, like, clean. They're clean, but they aren't clean, if you know what I'm saying. Like, that patchwork net of cuts he does on you is awful. And, like, presumably attacks multiple vital organs that you need to heal properly. And Yuji's just, where did the English go? Where did it go? You need to heal individually. And we see, as Yuji struggles and tries to force himself to heal, a certain someone is confirmed to be alive. Now, I did see an interesting theory. Someone mentioned that maybe this is Yuji just genuinely tweaking, trying to remember Choso's lessons. But once again, it was Kamo who was teaching Yuji for the most part about blood manipulation, and it would be Choso who should understand a bit about regenerating and explaining that to Yuji. Of course, I wouldn't be mad if this is a Choso hallucination, but I do think it is the real deal. Mainly because Choso does have, like, he has blood stains over himself, too. Like bro clearly is still reeling from the effects of being double donated by Sukuna, too. And, of course, I guess this does open the door that Choso could have fired their piercing blood. It doesn't really matter anymore. Yuji has blood manipulation. But, like, I guess. But I think he just showed up now. And I do like this. I like that Choso is genuinely playing Big Brother. Where before, he would have let his brothers run off with their techniques and do crazy things all on their own. When he sees Yuji struggling, he comes in and he genuinely explains to him, hey, think about it like this. Control it like that. There had been a little bit of debate on whether or not he's talking about Yuji's blood manipulation to heal himself or RCT to heal himself. But I think it is a bit of both. I think he's trying to get Yuji to understand the control and flow of his cursed energy, which he can then fuel with RCT through his manipulation of blood manipulation, as he tells Yuji to focus on the process of his vessels throughout his entire body, which I think is neat. It goes to show that blood manipulation, while I still think is probably pound for pound the worst of what the pinnacles of the big 3 families have to offer, like, then again, the 10 Shadows really sucks without Maho. And, like, it kind of sucks at base, too. Like, you're just talking, like, a base blood manipulation user versus a base limit user versus a base 10 Shadows user. It's Divine Dogs versus someone who can amp themselves and someone who has control over the very world itself. So it is still a bit unfair, but I like how this perspective is being used, and I like how it's coming from Choso in specific because of his whole character archetype. The big brother, the Onichan, if you will. I do like that he's the one to come in and, like, essentially get Itadori to focus in, to lock in. Also, that Itadori mentions here, I think, because we cut away immediately back to the GOAT. Yeah, we cut on GOAT action. Yuji has yet to give up on Megami. Now, it's gonna sound dark. I know it's gonna sound dark. I know it's gonna sound awful. Alright. Nasty, even a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of bit malicious. Megami ain't worth it, little bro. Like, I know this sounds so bad, but, like, he really ain't worth it, dog. Like, especially if what happens next chapter, because we don't have a break next week, if what happens next chapter happens like I assume it's going to happen and Sukuna actually starts cooking, remotely, seriously, Maki should have just gone for the head. You just shouldn't have turned that Jacob's Ladder off. Megami should have been sacked, bro. Like, We're now two in. I mentioned in a previous video that I don't really think Gojo could have lost up until that. No, Sukuna could have lost up until that Jacob's Ladder incident because, you know, everything seemed to be playing in his favor, and if the character still acted in character, even if they had a little bit more of that slaughtering intent, I don't think too much would change because of Sukuna. But we're now 2 for 2 on extremely powerful heavy hitters who either A, could have never turned their light off, their nightlight off, or B, could have gone for the head. So I think we're in trouble. But Yuji's still determined to save Megami. So the plot will remember this. It will have consequences later. Be ready. It shall be on the test. But speaking of the test, we get to put Maki Zenin. It says against the king of just glaze everywhere. Glaze. I would put a white filter on everything that wouldn't look absolutely disgusting. But with that being the case, Maki versus Sukuna, toes, my fingers, they're curling, they're intertwining, bro. I'm sorry, I'm so happy. Now, of course, once again, like I mentioned before, none of this really matters because Sukuna's holding back. But still, note what Maki... Well, actually, it's actually kind of funny. Look at Sukuna. Bro's like, hold on. Like, I can't exactly tell what he does here. Does he, like, grab a what is this man's obsession with random environmental objects? Like, bro ricochets what looks like he throws this piece of a traffic light and then, oh wait a second, no, I can't tell what he does here. Once again, this may need to be like a clean scan thing, but does he like send out a slash? Because I don't think he had the traffic light in hand. I think Maki was like near the traffic light and Sukuna sent out a slash, but it looks like Maki kicked off of it and dodged. So there's one, but we see that Maki didn't just weave that slash. She goes in low and goes so... Like, notably, it seems like we fully... Like, at least Maki has somewhat given up on keeping Megami in one piece, right? Like, she took out the man's heart. Like, presumably, Megami's cooked anyway, right? Right? Because remember, one of the biggest things is that... And this Sukuna even clearly explains this. Hey, I'll be real with you, bucko. Me? I can live without a heart. I can be so heartless. Your boy? Not too much. So, like, the fact that Megami already went for the heart, or Maki already went for the heart of Megami, kind of shows me that she's a little bit non-caring. But just the look on her face here, she was genuinely going to take Sukuna's ankles. I ain't talking in the basketball sense. She was going to rip them boys off. And that is crazy. Like, what? Moving devious. However, notably, Sukuna does dodge. Once again, going to show... I'm not going to say relativity, because once again, I do think Sukuna is still massively above Maki. Don't let the glaze fool you. I think Sukuna is massively above everybody. I think he's just having fun. He's in his girls just want to have fun phase right now. Except it's kings want to have fun, and he's having a little bit of fun. But... Maki and Sukuna, they kind of go exchanging, attack for attack, dodge for dodge, and Maki lunges in with a stab, and we see Sukuna, admittedly, in one of the most mellow displays ever, even though it doesn't work out in his favor, he just, like, I guess he probably doesn't know, but bro just, like, what are you, Aizen? With extra grip? Like bro just straight said, here, give that to me. Why? For what reason? And like, maybe, actually, you know what? No, he may be doing what he did with Yuta here. It's just not being emphasized. And I'll see what these sound effects look like when I compare it to the Yuta chapter. Maybe he's doing the whole like mini dismantles thing. But other than that, if he wasn't, he was straight gamble. Like, Maki could have easily taken off his fingers here. Like, presumably, if he wasn't doing the mini dismantle thing. So I'm going to assume he was doing the mini dismantle thing. Because randomly grabbing that sword as it casually pierced through your chest before is crazy. But Maki, not the best feat of physical strength. Once again, other characters have manhandled Sukuna a bit before. But I think out of our main cast, who isn't Rika, this is like the best manhandling that Sukuna's gotten. Like, Yuji wasn't manhandling bro this much. Yuta wasn't manhandling bro this much. The only other person who manhandled Sukuna this good was Gojo while he was still in Megana's body. Or still Megana. When he was like 5'9", 160 pounds soaking wet. This titan of a man grabs onto Maki's sword, she smiles in his face, and lobs that boy. Straight says, what, you want to grab my sword? Hey, yo, pause, and launches that man. Straight, like, I don't know if y'all have ever seen pitchers throw. Like good pitcher, like if you've ever seen a pitcher throw in slow motion, it's some of the most terrifying. Like the amount of flexion that they put into that ball toss, like you get like if you watch it like slow, high quality slow motion, like that 4K slow motion, and you see every single frame, like you can see every single muscle tense and relax and curl as they throw it. It is amazing yet terrifying. Maki did the exact same thing, except she straight lobbed bro, and notably she lobbed bro hard enough that she could keep hold on Soul's Katana, but Sukuna couldn't, throwing that bad boy away. Though once again, calming my glaze a little bit, Sukuna very clearly, I mean, he takes like a little bit of an impact. You can see there are some impact marks, but he doesn't take like insane amounts of damage from this. These throws and tosses that Maki are doing, while impressive physically, aren't really doing anything to Sukuna. And we see Sukuna's like, alright to expect something from you, Zenin girl. And he goes, he puts his grippers all, and now I think about it, Maki, but then again, this is just it's a super weak variation of Sukuna. It's a super weak variation of Sukuna. Like I can't really give Maki like above Kashima over this because it's super weak Sukuna. But where I think it's confident to say we're at a point where Maki has a better 1v1 run with Sukuna than Kashima did. And we see that Sukuna uses Cleave on the building to essentially block Maki's view and obstruct her. But we see Maki, once again, continue with the light little cheese as the building itself just gets lobbed at her by Sukuna. She's like, I alone am the one who left it all behind. And just, like, I think she's legit Matrix weaving through all of them. Like, I can already see this animated, bro. Like, it's gonna be a word for word, shot for shot, pound for pound reference to the Matrix. Like, I know it basically has to be. Because, like, she's like all the different debris pieces. And it's crazy. I don't think she takes a hit this entire chapter. Now, of course, like I said, for all my Yuta fans out there, before y'all come at me, there are arguments to still be made in Yuta's favor. In terms of durability, in terms of abilities, in terms of output. But as a guy who's been pushing that Maki is still an entirely separate speed tier above you. Oh no. It's dying. Wait. But as a guy who's been pushing the narrative that Maki's in an entirely separate speed tier from Sukuna. Not Sukuna. I take that back. Not Sukuna. From Yuta and Yuji and Hakari. All I'm seeing is more reinforcement to the narrative, though, because she doesn't take a single hit. But of course, this isn't really the impressive speed feat that got us really having to open up a discourse, open up a discussion on whether or not Maki truly is that Hurthy. We're going to get to that. As we see, Maki Matrix weaves through all of these, but the main thing that catches my attention, Sukuna, he does something specific, though. At first, I made the mistake in my short review mentioning that this may have been World Slash, because I saw the little chant here. But this is only, presumably, a strong dismantle. As was corrected in the comment section, and I saw more translations, this is a strong dismantle. Not World Slash. Because he doesn't do the full 3-stage chant. I always joke about how insane it is that the man can delete space with, like 7 words? But I think he only says, like, twin meteors here. So he does a slight chant to amp this dismantle. But, what's happening? But, he does this slight chant, and I need y'all to see the vision. I need y'all to line up with me. In fact, I know exactly what I'm going to do to take care of this one problem that keeps transpiring and has me extremely fearful. Because I still have more yapping to do. And I cannot let this device, this be a shackle to me. So show yourself, you fake. No, wait, seriously. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Fresh off the bobby with it. Please. Ugh. Okay. Oh, no, it's too heavy. No, I'm falling into the darkness. It smells like darkness. On my Riku type beat. Please. We'll do our best. Okay. No! There we go, fell again. Let me see. There's got to be some way I can do this. No, I'm going too far. I'm going way too far. You know what? If this is how it needs to work, this is how it's going to work. But here's my thing. No one, and I don't remember, the only person who's ever, maybe even, did he dodge it? Or did it bounce off infinity? That's a debate too. In the Gojo vs. Sukuna fight. I think Maki, outside of Maharaga, is the only character and the first human character to open her eyes, look dead at a dismantle, see it, and now this is the question, does she deflect it or does she dodge it? I'm not sure what this final panel here at the bottom is meant to do. As it tears through creation, I'm not sure. The thing is, in the translations, Sukuna very specifically compares it to the Maharaganing. Like, where Maharaga ended up, knocking it away. But this, which isn't World Slash, I'll readily admit it isn't World Slash, but this empowered dismantle from Sukuna, Maki, what does she do? I legit can't tell with this bottom page, I'm not exactly sure what she does. I think she dodges it. I don't want to say she deflects it, but I think she may dodge it. I legit can't tell. Like, this is where, in spite of my Jimmy Neutron brain blast, I cannot tell. Here's the thing. Regardless, the big point, the hefty point, is that she perceives it and does not get hit by it. That's the big thing. The only other characters who sport this accolade are twofold. One, Gojo Satoru himself. And hey, as much as a Maki meat muncher as I am, a Toji toe taster, I'm not about to sit here and lie to y'all and say that Toji or Maki are stronger than Awakened Gojo, or faster than Awakened Gojo, or especially not Adult Gojo, especially not Post-Present Gojo. I'm not gonna come and say that. I won't. That's foolish and arrogant and wrong of me. I would never make that claim. I'm actually, let me be serious, because I know based on the smile on my face, some of y'all are going to think, oh, he secretly thinks that. He just wouldn't say it. No, I don't think that. But based on this, based on the fact that she reacted to what should at least be a regular dismantle and either A, dodged it, or B, reflected it. Once again, I'll have to wait for translations, and I'll have to wait for, like, I don't know, cleaner scans, I guess, because I really can't tell what's happening in that bottom page. I think Maki, and if she hasn't grown any stronger, which is also something of consistent contention between everyone in the community, then Maki is still better than everyone. And no other attack that anyone else has to offer, unless it is an instant hit, but wait, those instant hits don't work on her. Nothing, no one else should be able to attack her. But the thing that makes this weird is that end of 250. What is Uraume then? Why are they a demon? I say they, because once again, we still don't know. But, like, why are they why could they tag Maki? Unless this Maki is just stronger. And I'm perfectly fine with this Maki just being stronger with more training and more experience. But, like, still, she reacts to a strong dismantle, a deadly dismantle. I like the alliteration. Just like I say special slash, I'm going with deadly dismantle. She reacts to a deadly dismantle. And either deflects it or dodges it. And she's big cheesing. This entire chapter, she does not take a lick of damage. Even Yuta took damage. Yuta, who was running the 2v1, by the way, with Rika, was taking some damage. Of course, there are arguments you can make. There are naturally arguments you can make. You can argue, well, Yuta can't see them, so that's unfair. Well, Maki can't see them, so maybe that's the difference. And that's a big one. I'll admit that. Two, you could be able to argue that Yuta thinks he can just heal off anything. And thusly, he doesn't care too much about face tanking, which I can also agree. Yuta does play by a very, like, face tanky playstyle. Like, we see this, especially upon his reintroduction to the series. He's not afraid to take damage. So, like, there's also that. But with the fact that Maki's able to perceive and react to what should be one of the fastest and one of the strongest attacks in the entire series, only eclipsed by things like World Slash, only eclipsed by things like Hollow Purple, and maybe like a full output Red and a full output Lapse Blue and stuff like that, I low-key don't see how Yuta or Rika's meant to tag her. What can I say? I just don't see the vision. I don't see how Hakari Kenji's meant to tag. Kashima Hajime is weird, because light speed attacks. But, like, outside of that, I don't really see anyone really tagging Maki. And once again, she's just a horrible matchup check. I still, like, it's heavily debatable, and I still don't think she would allow Hakari to get off domain. In the sense that I legit think he can't. Because he can't be affected by a sure hit, which I'm pretty sure is the condition for his domain. In order for it to pop off. That sure hit is necessary. He can't hit her. And notably, this chapter also establishes Sukuna is able to RCT the soul damage of Soul Split Katana because he can perceive the outline of the soul. Now, once again, for my Jackpot Hakari fans out there still is definitely hope in the sense that maybe his RCT is just that good. Like, notably, he still doesn't know how to do RCT. He can't do it in base. It's just the Infinite Cursed Energy. Maybe the Infinite Cursed Energy would allow Jackpot Hakari to, like, heal automatically. Just like he naturally bypassed poisons because of how good his RCT was. Maybe the same thing is the case with Maki. So Soul Split doesn't necessarily do too much to that matchup in terms of, like, Hakari's longevity. She would still have to wait out the 4 minutes and 11 seconds. But with this kind of speed scaling, I don't think that's too ludicrous. Like, Hakari's out here getting tagged by Uraume, but at the same time, that's Jackpot versus the whole tank style. That's the beautiful thing about JJK, though. It's the matchups and the vagueness of the matchups that make it so interesting to talk about, in my opinion. But Maki having feats, dodging deflecting, perceiving, dismantles, crazy. Crazy. Strong, deadly dismantles. Next level, she may be one of the fastest in the verse, yo. I think we may have to come to a decision. Tell me what y'all think about that. Maybe y'all lean with it, rocking with it, like I am, but I'm leaning with it, rocking with it. I know the Yuta fans are I know a specific Yuta fan is gonna be like, no, Pencil. I thought we convinced you, and most of you do. I still think genuinely Yuta has literally every other better stat. I think he has more durability. He definitely has more hacks. He maybe not battle IQ though. I'm not sure. Maki's really good with it, but like every other stat. Traditional stat, better than. But in terms of combat speed, travel speed, and Duraneg, I think Maki may just have Yuta's number. But once again, that's me glazing. Yuta's pretty much hard confirmed to be the third strongest character in the verse. We can lead with it. We can rock with it. But I think Maki may be a bad matchup for Broski. And we see Maki and Sukuna have a little casual discussion, and Sukuna even smiles at her. So like these, and I do like this. So like putting all the skilling aside, that's what this chapter is hefty for. It brought out the Maki meat muncher in me. Putting all the Maki meat munching aside, I do like how these two monsters look at each other. Like notably, a big point of Maki post the Zenin Clan massacre, and even post her liberation in Sakurajima colony, is that she's oddly serene, oddly disconnected, oddly dispassionate in comparison to what she was before. Yuji and Megami both note this when they're interacting with her, as she explains the loss of Sukuna. Like, whoa, Zenin-senpai, she's different. And I like how she's kind of finally meeting an equal. In a similar way to the man we're going to talk about in a second, ended up kind of disregarding his humanity by reaching higher levels of strength, where someone like Yuta Kosu didn't. Look at this. Maki is grinning in the face of death itself. There's no greater incarnation of death in the Jujutsu world than Uraume Sukuna. The man who transcended it on his own. Well, not on his own. Kenny helped him, but still. So to see these two smiling at each other, it's oddly haunting in the best way possible. It goes to show that deep down, these two are very, very similar. And it doesn't scare either of them. Maki doesn't have any sort of internal monologue or like reservations about how she's feeling. No, she's genuinely excited, intrigued, and I'm really interested to see the translations for this text, because I think that'll only add to the characterization that's clearly shown in these panels. Good stuff. But once again, off the meat munching, off the matchups. I'll make whole separate videos talking about that more in depth. We get here, and this is where even more yapping's about to occur. So be ready. We see that Hakari Kinji and Uraume are still fighting. Now, this is interesting. I could have sworn Uraume was activating her domain there. So, I'm sorry. So many people have called them her at this point that it's kind of like seeped into my brain. But once again, we don't know. So I thought Uraume put Hakari in their domain expansion, but it seems like that's not the case. It looks like they just burst the water pipes and just kept cooking from there. And they just made this entire Winter Wonderland. Number one, shout out to Hakari fans. He's still alive. And I can't tell if he's in base or not. Like, there's no music, and he actually has visible damage on him. But, let me see. It's still very, very unimpressive for Hakari, I will admit. Like, this is the let me move this. This is the most damage that Uraume has on them after their extensive battle. And, like, once again, before we get into the terror in the writing issue of this chapter, look how much damage Hakari's taken. Of course, he's a Hakari Kinji, meaning the damage doesn't really matter to him. But still, but here's the thing. Uraume does seem to be consistently RCT, but I can't tell if that's RCT steam or like steam because it's cold. But regardless, Uraume seems so like either they're just insanely bulky or Hakari's attacks really are just that trash. Like how's bro been fighting for like 5 more minutes and still not done anything? Like presumably he's had a whole nother round or something. But that aside, we'll talk about that more once the translations happen. We'll go more to the scaling discussion for Hakari. But the main thing that Hakari mentions here is like, oh, well, shoot, we're low-key cooking all right now. And Urume's like, you're what? And Hakari's like, well, I mean, we gotta have your boss man on the ropes. You know what I'm talking about? Maki's running the ones. The kid seems to have done his thing so far. He seems a little bit weird how I film in 2 places, though, but they're close enough to each other. I'm assuming he may be in half, but he's still doing good. And, even we got that little new upstart brat who even got me moving with them. I'll be honest, looks like your battle's almost over. And once I wrap up with you, I'll go over and help. And Uraume's like, are you? Well, you don't know the boss man like I do. I know the boss man for a minute and a half. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, youngster. Let me tell you something. If you think that you have done anything but bore him, you've got another thing coming. Because I'll be real, it's quite embarrassing what you all been doing. The fact that you as a collective haven't been more entertaining or been up to snuff as one man in Satoru Gojo, all you did was make him more and more and more annoyed. And trust me, once the boss man gets annoyed, he gets devious. So, this final page, of course, isn't metal as all get out. Absolutely beautiful. Am I happy we don't have a break next week? Absolutely beautiful. Main thing is, though, according to what I saw in the translations, Uraume says, with or without the battle effects, Sukuna has not been going all out. He still has so much more in the tank. You all have done nothing to him, and at any moment he could just choose to end you, and that moment may be right now. So, essentially what Uraume is telling us is that the past 222 is when the battle starts, or 223? The past 27-ish chapters have been irrelevant. That's essentially what they're telling us. Sukuna, and like, here's the thing, right? This is okay, in the sense that it makes sense, right? No one was on the level of Gojo, no one scales the Gojo, no one scales the Sukuna by proxy, as Gojo barely scales the Sukuna. Of course they wouldn't stand up to him. But to imply that everything that's happened to him, from the brain damage effects of Satoru Gojo, from the wear down of his cursed energy reserves and cursed energy output by the effects of Satoru Gojo and more effects, you're telling me all the damage that Yuji's done to his soul-body connection through all of his impacts that deal with the soul, everything, to break all of that down and look us dead in the face and say that, oh yeah, Sukuna actually isn't trying or pressed or fighting for his life at all. No, he's just been casually playing around with y'all, not holding back. Or no, holding back extremely. And now you may get to see him cook a little bit. Y'all remember Madara Uchiha? Do you? I presume you do. And if you haven't read Naruto yet, go fix that. If you haven't watched the anime, go fix that. But then again, if you read One Piece and haven't read Naruto, then don't worry. You can tell me to go read One Piece. I will. Eventually. I read it week by week now. I don't know why. I still don't know what's going on. But like, well, I know enough of what's going on that the chapters don't make, that they aren't like straight gibberish to me, but I don't know enough because I haven't actually read the manga. But the big issue that happened with Madara is that Kishimoto made him so strong that it kind of had people wondering, okay, how are we reasonably gonna beat dude? Like how? And of course, that famous interview statement is fake. Like that one statement that's said, I believe, it's either something along the lines, there are two interview statements like pertaining to Madara. Like one of them is about Itachi, and like if Itachi was still left alive, then he would have soloed Madara. Like that's for the Itachi fans. That's not real. And the other one that's not real is that I believe it goes something along the lines, Kishimoto introduced Kaguya to get rid of Madara, because Madara was literally unbeatable. So he had to write him out of the story one way or another. And that's not true. I don't think Kishimoto ever said that. But if you read the series, it feels heavily implied. I'm not saying Kaguya isn't foreshadowed in Naruto. I think the foreshadowing is kind of weak, but I wouldn't say she's not foreshadowed. But the thing I will say about Kaguya is that in the end, it did low-key feel like she was there because she was stupider, less effective, and much more inefficient than Madara. She's explicitly a much dumber character. She's not stupid. Like, she's not an idiot. But, like, in comparison to Madara, simply not the case. Madara was able to be taken off the board through the utilization of Black Zetsu to bring back Kaguya, which was easier for our heroes to defeat. Heck, for them to even catch up to Madara, they had to literally become gods. Naruto and Sasuke got the halves of the Sage of Six Paths chakra and then became deities. And why did that have to happen? Because, like, the narrative and destiny and stuff like that. But it was putting that aside, it's because Madara was so overwhelmingly powerful that they needed to get stronger drastically. And why did this keep happening? It's because Madara kept getting stronger. Like, don't get me wrong, Madara from the moment he's reintroduced as an Edo on the top of that pillar against the Shinobi Alliance was already insanely powerful. But it felt like Kishimoto just kept adding and adding and adding and adding. Oh, you see, he doesn't just have the Sharingan or the EMS, he has the Rinnegan. And you see with the Rinnegan, he doesn't just have the power to summon 1 meteor, but 2 meteors. And you see he has the Susanoo, but it isn't just the regular Susanoo, it's the perfect Susanoo, which is able to slice the tops off of mountains by simply unsealing its sword. But you see, he doesn't just have that Susanoo, he has wood clones. And these wood clones can also use Susanoo, and maybe possibly perfect Susanoo. And then, you know what, not just that, we're also going to give him his real Rinnegan back, because he had fake Rinnegan, so they weren't actually as powerful. And also, since he's dead, like, the and alsos just kept raising the bar and made it seem less and less feasible, especially if you were reading Naruto at the time, for them to actually beat Madara. It just didn't make sense. And we're running into the same issue with Sukuna. I'm fine with the idea that he has more in the tank. This has long since been established. Like, I know he has not whipped out the black box. I know he has not shown all of his abilities. I'm still not fully confident he lost the 10 shadows. Like, that's how much coping I'm huffing, because I want the 10 shadows to still be around. But it's crazy, because I still don't really like the technique. Or at least I think it's trash, but I think it's neat enough. But with it being the case, all that, I know all this. But consistently devaluing the efforts of our cast, and then consistently making Sukuna stronger, how do you want readers to feel like his defeat is going to be earned if he's supposed to lose? Now, if Jujutsu Kaisen just has a bad end and Sukuna wins, well, then that's fine. I mean, people wouldn't like it, but I'd be fine with it, and it wouldn't be too shocking. Right? Like, I mean, fine. You've done all this, clearly, for a reason. But the thing is, I'm still reading a manga in Shonen Jump. This is still a thing that I'm dealing with. Word for word, bar for bar, band for band. This is something where I'm expecting at least our protagonist to win. I'm perfectly fine with Yuta getting got, Maki getting got, Hakari getting got, Ino getting got, Kusakabe getting got, Choso getting got, every man getting got, Uyui getting got, Kirara getting got, Shogo getting got, Uruhime getting got, Ichichi getting got, Gakuganji getting got, and like, name them. Toto coming back only to get got, Nobara coming back only to get got. I'm fine with all of them falling, but I presume that our protagonist is meant to win in the end. But if you're gonna keep moving the goalposts, if you're gonna do Beerus, essentially, you're gonna just keep making him stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and validate the efforts of our heroes to bring him down to a more reasonable level where his defeat feels earned. What's the point? And how do you expect me to believe that it's gonna be valuable or realistic when he does lose, if he does lose? I don't know. And that's the issue with this. Moving the goalpost. It just makes it more and more unreasonable. Because now our heroes have to get even stronger. Supposedly, our strongest card got cut in half. And sure, he shut down his domain of his own free will. But still, he got cut in half. He's no longer on the table. At least not easily. He needs to go be healed and taken care of. And I don't think Yuta's going to suddenly get stronger off of that. Heck, you could give Yuta the 6 size. I still don't think that's enough. Like, once again, we're running to a point where if Sukuna is truly this powerful, how is our cast meant to win and make it feel right? I don't know. And that's the big issue. That's the one issue I have with this. Is it super cool that Sukuna is finally going to start showing out more? Absolutely. Personally, I haven't been getting bored of the Sukuna battle. I love how Gay keeps swapping out characters. A character usually doesn't get more than like 2 chapters to show off. Higuruma barely got 2 chapters. Kashimo barely got 2 chapters. Yuji and Yuta barely got 2 chapters. Yuta alone barely got a chapter and a half. Like, we've been consistently rotating. And now Maki got her chapter. So, like, we're specifically cycling through. And we had the Kenjaku break in the middle. We haven't just had straight Sukuna. And the way Sukuna's been fighting, well, it's been mostly stagnant. He's still been changing things up here and there in his fighting style and how he matches up with his opponents, which I think has kept it interesting. But I am still happy we're going to start diversifying his kit, his moveset, his abilities. We're gonna start changing through that. Because I'll admit, I am more excited for that. I am more hopeful for that. But now I'm genuinely worried we're running into Madara. We're running into Madara. We're running into Magi. Spoilers, which I won't go into. Where a character that gets introduced is so powerful, so unstoppable, so crazy, so next level, that the mangaka can't find a reasonable way to make them lose. It's a problem I thought we were working around by weakening him, but clearly he has a lot more in the tank. So now I'm very, very concerned. But that aside, chapter's still gas. For the Maki meat munching alone. But, like, obviously, I still really, really like the chapter. I'm going to go even more in depth once the review actually comes out and I have translations and I've thought about it more. But yeah, this chapter's still overall some straight liquid heat. However, That's what I think. Please what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the true... Well, actually, have I used True King before? Leave the King's Truth. The King's Truth in the comment section down below. I do thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I'd like to thank you guys. Oh, and every variations of all my videos. And if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, O'Connor Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, and Red Wolf 4765. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Steron, Sean, RNG Master, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Jermaine, Igneal, EHAC1. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 members, Autumn, Mornings Lazo, Jan, Toma. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $10 member, Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our two $10 patrons, Joaquin and Item Okami. And I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Winter. Another hefty thank you to our $25 patron, ChinaDoll09. And a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.